Let there be light, and there was light. The words of the said God in Genesis of chapter 1 verse 3. Okay, and of course that is responsible for all of creation. Everything. Of course the word everything gives away the name of that which is part. That, whom, it, whatever, being, force, energy, responsible for creation. So we are talking about Mother Eve is in everything. And we see that really goes throughout the act of creation, and God saw everything that he done was good. Everything that he done was, meaning WAS is like the wave, as good as Eve. So there was the copying and the replica, as I say, that we are the product of an experiment. So of course it was really like trying to get us to be like Eve, basically. So that's how we are everything. But it's really a wonderful delicious story now, although I had the challenge of dealing with the emotions of how I came about to understand the things that I had learned about, and how of course I had gone like roundabout in a circle, well, doing the snake thing. In essence, that's what we have been doing. So when we have been lied to, the snake we have been doing snake. We have just been low. Now the snake wants us to kind of take our rise, and that's why some of us get bitten up in the butt to really get our acts together. And that's what Mother Eve is about, really showing us how to take our rise and shine, take our rise and be whom we are meant to be, take our wings and soar to the skies. So basically, that's what we're about now. And that's what Mother Eve wants us to know, that she is there to show us how. She's there to teach us. She's not there on ground level by chance, because she can only meet with us at the point of where we are at. And so it's like a mother really taking the role of child, childlike games to teach the child how to make sense of its world. And that's what the serpent has been doing with us, Mother Eve, the said God, the God or the spokesperson. And it's like, of course, you grow up and you think, okay, your mom is only about feeding you and just nourishing you, and then you find out she's quite creative. Actually, my mom is really bright. Actually my mom knows a lot of things. Actually my mom is quite beautiful. You grow up and you discover so much, even throughout having friction or disagreements. But in retrospect, you get to understand you are your mother's child. That to love yourself is to love your mother, is to get to know your mother, and then you really get to understand your makeup as an individual. And that in turn really helps us to appreciate one another even more. This is really delicious. So I just encountered something and I thought, I'll go with it. And Mother Eve really does approve that we look at a word called the amygdala. I don't know if I have pronounced it correctly. I hope I have. But I encountered that word for some time ago. I'm trying to get my brush. Okay. I'm just thinking, why would my brush disappear like that? Okay, let's get something that I can just use for now. Okay. I'm not sure this is really working, but okay. So the amygdala is I've forgotten where it's situated, but it's part of the limbic system, of course, in the brain. So AMY, amygdala, DALA. I remember coming across this when I was reading, I think his name is David Goldman, in Emotional Intelligence. Now, at the time, I just know it kind of felt right more than understanding much about it. It kind of felt right. And it's one of those books, of course, I borrowed to someone, and you know what it's like. That's the end of that. But it's not to say it's not accessible. But I would love to read that book again, because it was teaching about how the shortcuts of bypassing certain emotional triggers, because it's the emotional triggers that really that we have challenges with. So let's look at the numerical value. I did do the numerical value for that, and I was surprised to see that it came to 19, but it also makes sense, and I want to explore that. So there we are, amygdala. So we have two sevens here, which is comforting in a way to tell us that we are there in the middle of it. And we see that there's a 14 here, the I am, so it's the am here is there. And we have a 41 here, the DA. We have those numbers. It's like saying, in this word, I am already getting a feeling that the amygdala, although it is it's like the fear system that we go through, it has in itself the ability to guide us into where we ought to, how to function, yes. So, and the A's here, it sounds like a little rhyme, something that could be like a rhyme song, amygdala. It sounds very much like that. Okay, so let's do this. This is 7, 14 and 10, 24, plus 3 is 27, 28. So 2 plus 8 is 10. So of course I counted a different way, but this is still the same. So it's really 10. The amygdala is 10. So that's 10 in actual fact, which takes us through to the whole spectrum of the 19, 19, and of course 19 is 10. So I'm talking about on the sacrifice template. So it's 28 in actual fact. So it's really, if we look at it like that, 28, it is very occupied with where we are bonding, where we are making agreements, where we are, what we are sowing, where we are germinating, and that kind of makes perfect sense. And then it takes us to headquarters zone. Of course, headquarters zone is where we are occupied with our headquarters, basically. This is where you, it's your driver's license, it's the headquarters of a corporation, it's the headquarters of the town hall, headquarters of your company that you work with. And you know, when you're dealing with headquarters, everything has to be in place, and you know, your papers and things have to be balanced, and because headquarters zone is right there, and it's in that cold state. It is in a cold state. It is those tower blocks, in a sense, that you know, where it's air conditioned all day, and you probably are not very excited about going there. So we are really looking at those states here. So 2 plus 8, but the 8 in itself, in that sense, is offering or telling us what it entails, or what is required of us to really master the art of dealing with the amygdala. So the amygdala is really that which deals with all our senses emotionally. And if we think about it, it's in the emotions, of course, that we feel fear, or we feel joy, or we feel, or well, it's all emotions. It's all about the emotions, and that is the thing that is perhaps responsible for why we feel very fearful, or why we procrastinate, or why we have addictions and so on. So I felt it was really a nice word to look at in that sense, because it also offers us the opportunity, which is where Mother Eve is coming into, by telling us, I can help you deal with that. I can help you look at what you are bonding with, what are you anchoring with. So basically, for instance, if you had a childhood experience where a certain food did not taste very pleasant to you, and you decided this food is not for you anymore, and every time you see this food you get a sort of phobia or something about it. It's not very nice. It makes you feel like you want to puke all the time. And this is where it's taking you back into your first experience right there in that bonding stage. And of course, you're puking or feeling very awful about it is the excess emotions that it elicits. And of course, you have to discharge of those emotions. And oftentimes, because we don't learn to deal with those emotions adequately, of course, we never overcome that first experience. And I think that's what David Goldman, I'm hoping I pronounce his name properly, or I've remembered properly, but it's Emotional Intelligence. That's the name of the book or something, but about emotional intelligence. And we see that the number 8 is what Mother Eve is really asking us, or wanting to show us how to deal with that. It's overcoming those phobias of the 5 senses. And those phobias of the 5 senses in themselves are really showing us how we are dealing with things, how we process our thoughts and experiences. Okay, so I didn't say, if you are new to this, basically this is Mother Eve, and this is the sacrifice template that we have been making reference to throughout our 600 plus presentations. Mother Eve, of course, her features have changed from time to time. This is perhaps one of the long-lasting ones, which I prefer because she's happier in this photo, and because we are seeming to be very active in what we are doing in the presentations. So back to the amygdala, it's about the emotions, and it reminds me, of course, about the story of Christ being crucified on the cross. It would mean that that was really an expression of dying of all the fear. It's like, to die means that you have overcome every emotion or every fear. You have gone through the whole motion of dealing with pain, anger, loss, and everything, and to come back anew. And this is why Mother Eve now is here, calling us home, calling us back to raise our consciousness and get familiarized with the relationship that we have with her, which is, of course, one that we have been taught to be fearful of Mother Eve as a snake or as a serpent, instead of really getting to understand that she is part of our makeup and she does mean us well, of course, providing that we are ready to work in unity with her to be able to eat of the fruit that we have been told not to eat of, which is that the fruit in essence is the learning, of course. Again, it's about the emotions, dealing with those emotions, recognizing how they impact on our life, and really taking the bull by the horn, so to speak, or in actual fact letting the serpent have its rise to our third eye. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you have found this fun. And of course, if you like this presentation, click the like button and share, because we are now doing a new thing in a new way, because we are turning the other side of the coin. So let there be light in, and there was light in the presentation that you have just listened to. Thank you.